Welcome to Lawrence High School.
This is the wonderful class of Miss Garcia. This is PAP English.
So our launch today is going to be a group brainstorm. So first I want you to individually think, and then we're going to talk together. What's an example of a topic of discussion that never seems to end? Something people are always talking about, something people have been talking about forever. This could be something that's like a local conversation, a national conversation, something that's global. It could be political, culturally. So we can turn and talk with the people next to us first. Sometimes you just need to hear somebody else's thought and you're like, oh, yeah. Oh, that's like, so you can share with Armani and Jose, okay? And then write your initial thoughts here for your first brainstorm, and then when you have a couple things written down, turn and talk with the people next to you, okay?
Versus MJ.
Oh, the GOAT versus the GOAT. Okay, so sports conversations, yeah, for sure. All right, so the greatest of all time discussions for sure. When you think of, so you can't really ever say who's better, like Michael, Kobe, LeBron, right? They played in different eras. So that conversation will go on forever. So that's exactly the thought I'm thinking of. And if you take that to something that's a global conversation, a cultural, political conversation, right? We're talking about things like abortion. We're talking about things like racism. What is the answer to that? Has that conversation been going on before you have been a part of the conversation? Yeah. Do you think it will continue to be a conversation after you're done with it?
Yes.
Probably. Unfortunately, right? That's kind of what we're thinking about today. So would you be willing to go, and you, those of you that shared, would you go write your answers up on the group brainstorming for examples of unending conversations? Anybody else have a good one that your group talked about? Yeah.
Inequality.
Inequality. Very good. You want to come at that? I've got a couple of markers. Anybody having some new thoughts hearing what your classmates shared? Sorry, let me get out of your way. Neely, I heard you and Sadie having a really good conversation too. Were yours said? Absolutely, go. What'd you say? Yep, absolutely. Okay. Yep. So taxes are a part of the government, right? So things having to do with the government. Absolutely. Good. And then what were you thinking, like what type of inequalities? I think you're right on point, but let's get a little bit more specific.
Like the girls and boys, they always say one of us is better. We don't get the same access that the boys have.
Okay, so gender equality,
Yeah.
absolutely, good. Which feeds into, we were talking about homophobia up there, right? Absolutely. Racism, inequalities, abortion, homophobia, taxes, what else? What are things that you're hearing all the time right now? What's everybody talking about?
Cultural appropriation.
Go put it, absolutely. Yes, absolutely, very good. That was from our student government meeting yesterday, right? Right.
I should have put sexuality and stuff.
Go, we can update, we can revise, it's an English class, baby. That's +5 for a revision, I love it. Good, cultural appropriation.
We'll put it on the side or just erase it?
Well, just add it. Good question. Emmanuel, would you be willing to explain your understanding of cultural appropriation?
Okay. Yeah. So like, I think it's like, let me use an example. When an Asian person is using like, let's say cornrows or like braided hair or something like that, can't really explain what, it's like not right in a way, because like you're just like using someone else's culture that's not like for you.
Okay.
It's not like, yeah.
Good, I think that's a good example, like Jeremy Lin, right? There was that big backlash. Who was the other player that called him out for that? Do you remember? Joni, do you know?
What?
When Jeremy Lin braided his hair, who was the other basketball player that called him out? The other basketball player had a Chinese tattoo, so Jeremy Lin came right back at him and was like, yeah, cultural appropriation. I'll look that up, I'll show you later. Good. Does anyone want to add on to the definition of cultural appropriation or add another example? Yeah, Sadie, thank you.
I think it's like when you're not respecting another person's culture by invading it. Something.
Good. Yeah, respect is basically the foundation of this. Absolutely. So the example that Emmanuel gave about hairstyle, what is important about the hairstyle that you mentioned?
It's like someone's culture.
Mm-hmm. Why is it that specific culture?
Because, like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, I've seen people say that like when white people do it, it's not meant for their hair and stuff like that. It's like kind of specific for their style.
Good. Sadie, you like to elaborate?
So, when there was still slavery, black women, they used to braid rice into their cornrows. As, like, if they were like going to escape, they would like have the rice in their hair so they could have it for the future.
Interesting. Recently, and since forever, there are specific hairstyles that are helpful for a specific texture, right? Like we all understand texture of hair, we all have different texture hair. So some specific, like what's really the purpose of a do-rag? Or a bonnet? To what?
Protect your hair.
To protect your hair, right? So that's kind of what it comes down to. It's a protecting, like it's meant to protect your hair, right? As opposed to if you don't need that to protect your hair, then it's just fashion, right? So your culture now becomes my fashion. And that's where Sadie mentioned the disrespect sometimes comes into play with that. So if it's cultural appropriation, think about a Halloween. How many things are you like, ugh, that's a cringeworthy costume. You should not wear that because that's somebody's culture. You shouldn't wear somebody's culture for fashion, for a costume to kind of belittle it without an understanding and a solid, respectful foundation, right? Mm-hmm.
I wear a bonnet.
You do? Does it help?
To sleep.
Nice. I bet it's cozy, huh?
Yeah, it's silky.
Yeah? And your hair looks great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good. Thank you for sharing your story. Yeah, so Jose, does that answer your question a little bit? What's cultural appropriation? We have a couple ideas of it now. Good. All right. So our group brainstorm about unending conversations. We've got things like racism, inequality, abortion, homophobia, or just sexuality in general, right? Taxes. I'm going to add government on the side of taxes, cultural appropriation, and COVID. Good. Spell it correctly. Cool. Good job, guys. At the end of class, we're going to come back to that. You and your group are going to pick one area to focus, and you're going to have a discussion about your personal beliefs within some of these, okay? So that was a really good list we came up with. Now I want to direct your attention to the front. Tell me if you have this slide. Do you have the I see it means on the bottom?
Yeah, just a bit.
You do, but you don't?
I don't.
Interesting, it didn't update. Okay. Let me give you guys,
I only have the picture.
okay, cool. That's okay. I've got printed out anyway, that way we can annotate these, but if we're just looking at this picture for now, you're welcome. I want you to draw this I see it means box on the bottom, okay? Look at this image. I want you to tell me what you see. Why, really, would someone design this room? If you're kind of stuck about like, well, I see a room, like what am I supposed to write? Think about what you don't see here. So let's take about 3 minutes. Let's have our own thoughts on this first, and then we'll share out again, okay? What's the big thing that's not there? TV, right? It could be. All right, if you're still finishing up, that's totally fine. You can keep writing. Just have one active listening here. Caleb's going to get us started sharing out what he sees and what he thinks it means, okay? Thank you, sir.
I see a couch and I think it would be for discussion. I see a table and the way I see it, because when I see the rooms I think of like I put, it was to set like a teacup.
Like a what? I'm sorry?
A tea kettle.
Okay. Like a room you would sit and have a cup of tea
Yeah, discuss.
and just talk about stuff, right? Okay.
Old fashioned design / color for respect or to show wealth.
Ooh, okay. So you see some money in this room? Excellent. Thank you for sharing. I see a lot of people either still writing or updating their answers based on what Caleb just shared with us. That's really good. That's smart. Who else wants to share? Who saw something? Everybody was writing. Do you all saw the same thing? Look at all these answers. Want to share up? No? I bet they're all correct and genius and mind-blowing. How'd you do, Jason? Good? Awesome. Neely, do you have anything that he didn't already mention?
I said I don't see no TVs, no
Good.
doors, like no pets.
Oh, good.
Like there's nothing on the table, no cups on the table, no plates. So maybe like in that room is like very organized.
Nice. Good observation. What do you think that means?
The organized room.
Mm-hmm.
The people who like own it are probably like really strict.
Good. Yeah, I like that. Johnsy, do you have anything that we didn't mention yet? It's okay if not.
Oh, no.
Okay. Anybody else? Did anybody mention the way that the chairs are facing?
To each other?
Yeah. So, raise your hand if you have a room in your house where there are seats that face each other that's not like the kitchen table. Yeah? Good. What's the purpose of that room? What happens in that room, Jason?
People talk to each other.
You're just talking, right? So that's like, can we say like the hangout room? Where we're talking much more than like getting together to watch a movie or whatever, right? Okay, good. So let's take a second and update anything that you heard that you didn't have that you liked, right? We should all have at least 3. And that's basically what you're supposed to get from that picture, right? That room is designed to encourage conversation. It's easier to speak when you can see each other. That's why this room is set up the way that it is. So that when we have battles, we can be like, oh, side A versus side B, and you guys can see each other when you're talking. First of all, what's a hyperbole?
When you exaggerate something.
Good. Extreme over-exaggeration. Yep. And what do you think it's a hyperbole about?
It looks like kind of like a battle.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of symbolic of what? Like that this conversation started before you got there, it's heated while you're there, you leave, it's still happening. What is that representative of? Think real big. Think like when we try to figure out what the theme is for something, remember, it's something you can't touch. You can't hold this in your hand. It's an idea, it's a feeling. One of those intangibles.
Imagination.
Imagination? Talk it out. What are you thinking? Oh, I like that you're using your resources. Look at her go. So an unending conversation would be a metaphor. An unending conversation is unlimited imagination, something like that. I can see it. Tell me again.
So, interminable means never ending.
Oh, you got it. Yes. Burke originally came up with the thought of unending conversation, the paragraph, as a metaphor to show writers what it's like to contribute to an ongoing academic conversation. All right? Think research papers. Everyone's opinion is valid, but you can't just be like, do you guys know about coronavirus? Yeah, bro, we know. Okay? So before you, like we were talking about, make yourself look silly, you gotta know what everyone else is already talking about. You have to bring something new to this, okay? Or agree with something or disagree with something that already exists, but don't make it like it's your own thought, right? Burke is saying that when one enters a parlor, right, as a writer, the listening phase requires reading what others have said about a topic. Then the writing phase requires thoughtfully acknowledging others' points of view while contributing one's own voice and showing how it relates to what others have already written. You don't have to agree, you just have to relate to it. Thumbs up if that makes sense. Thumbs in the middle if you're like, all right, kind of when we explain it. Thumbs down if you need it again. All right. Cool, cool, cool. Looking good, guys. Now, I'm going to let you pick your groups. Woo! No more than 4 in a group. You cannot work by yourself for this, though, because you do have to have an actual conversation. You're going to take notes on your conversation. So step 1, get a group or partner or whatever. You can, for this, stand up and spread out if you'd like, because there's going to be a lot of conversation happening at the same time. You're going to need to write what your partner is talking about, so just make sure you're by somewhere you can write. All right? Pick a group. In your group, pick a topic. One of the topics that we came up with, which one do you feel the most passionate about? Which one do you feel like you have the most knowledge about? Which one could you have a more meaningful conversation about? And then agree with your partner. Maybe pick your top 1 or 2, okay? So I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes. Get groups, get a topic. In 3 minutes, we're going to start the conversation, okay? All right.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
All right.
Hands up if you have a group already. 1, 2, 3. Good.
Oh, okay. So I think racism is pretty annoying because it's been here for like way too long, and I think it's time that it just stops because we're all human.
I agree.
It's a bad thing.
In person, you actually learn more, but it's just like harder because you have to actually like show up and stuff like that.
Anything that you guys
So
bring up.
I'm saying like remote was better, but not for like learning stuff, just like for feeling comfortable and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Look up Jeremy's ninth grade.
Miss, do you have this paper?
I feel like it makes us lazy. Yeah, it makes you lazy. You know.
That's also another thing with cultural appropriation is that a lot of people use like other cultures' hair or like styles and just disrespect it, and it's not okay. And like this is one of the examples about it.
So anytime if you guys are bringing something up, and you're like, oh yeah, I heard about, if you know where you
It's like a really big thing that people overlook. Because people overlook it because they see it as like not a big deal or anything. Like, oh my god, it's just hair, nobody cares, right? But it's actually a really big deal because it's dealing with someone's culture, and like that's someone's culture. You're not like allowed to disrespect it or invade it in any way possible. Yeah.
They don't try to understand it, they just do it.
Exactly. They just do it because they want to. It's
Yeah.
done.
Racism is terrible.
So take that
Should
kid.
never existed. Personal. Oh, so I just put you here and then Armani.
Yeah, and then Armani at the bottom.
Like come across it like two. So then yeah, partner is Okay, so what do you think about him?
People shouldn't judge people just because of their sexuality.
Yeah, racism is like terrible.
So it's unfair to treat people differently just because they like a different gender.
I think it could like people shouldn't judge what?
People shouldn't judge sexuality.
Whose opinion was what? We're just recording like anything. It's not a one size fits all.
I guess like depending on the situation.
And that's why we have the courts, that's why we have the judge, that's why we have adoption, that's why we have women's rights movements. What's right for one person is not right for every person. What happens to one person is not what happens to other people, you know? So it's like we never know what anyone's going through. We just know that we can do the best we can to help them.
So.
But why is that not right?
Here. Robert Kardashian, apparently. It's not black.
There's no purpose in it. I don't, like, you get nothing out of being racism except out of being racist. You could get arrested for that too.
A lot of you guys are still talking. I heard some excellent conversations from you. If we can kind of start wrapping up the final points that you're making. Hopefully everyone was able to get someone else's opinions down. Like I said, you didn't need complete sentences. Miguel, you okay? What I want you thinking about now is like the topic that you were just discussing with your group. You chose it, right? So obviously you feel strongly about it. What are ways that you can continue this conversation outside of this academic conversation in class?
Social media.
Social media for sure, right? Absolutely. And what does that look like? Continuing the conversation on social media. So many ways. What do you have in mind?
The news.
Oh, look for more information about it on social media? Absolutely. Would you share information that kind of matched your thought process? Okay. So like promoting your opinion on social media? Good. What else is really good about social media? You can find other like-minded people, right? And kind of group together. How else could you continue this conversation outside of this class? Student government, right? What are we working on student government? Merging Black History Month with Women's History Month. That is brainchild. Yes.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Cultural hair appreciation. Right. So we need to not only support positive celebration, but promote information so that things like cultural appropriation don't happen, right? Doesn't mean that we don't celebrate things that need celebrating. It means that sometimes we help educate, right? Sometimes it's not on us, it's not our responsibility to educate everyone else about things. But sometimes when you can, it's a little bit easier just to turn around and off your hand. Hey, come on to this level. Let me just tell you, maybe you don't know this yet. Let me just let you know, it's not a good look. Oh, I didn't know. Thank you. Now I'll never do that again, right? And then the ripple spreads. So that's a way we can continue that conversation. Student government already made that pledge. We're going to make that our program for the rest of the year.